Hi there, it's Talia from Elfie Training. Guys, I'm just doing a little pre-record of our Facebook session this month because I am selfishly taking some holiday days, so I won't be around on the day that we should put out. So I wanted to do a pre-record so it goes out at the same time and regular day. So last Friday of the month at 2 o'clock is when we do our Facebook sessions. So as I say, pre-record today, but please do comment in the video bits below and I'll be keeping an eye and coming back to you, as will several of my colleagues. So do feel free to post away with any questions. Today's session we're going to be doing choosing a training provider as our topic, which I think is a really important topic for numerous reasons. And it's really important that whichever training provider you choose, obviously I'd love it to be Elfie Training, but that's not the point. Whichever training provider you choose, it's really key that you are choosing them for the right reasons. As I'm sure you guys are aware, we're really passionate about training here at Elfie Training, and it's really vital, it's really important for various reasons. For us, we can clearly identify a link between staff retention and training, because it's so important to make sure that your staff feel invested in, they feel that they're competent in their job, that they're confident in their job, and can go out and do it. And I've got a great quote here from Sharon Allen, the CEO of Skills for Care, who said, "A confident, flexible and reliable workforce is what we're after, and that's what training will provide." So that's a really good reason that we need to ensure that the training is happening. And it's of good quality, obviously. I'll talk more about that later. Another thing is, another reason for investing in training is that your recruitment should become simpler, it should become easier. It might be that because of word of mouth, actually we've got people who want to come to your company because they know that you will invest in them and invest in them becoming a better person, a better staff member, better at their job and more competent and confident, as I said before, to do that role. So really important that we are recruiting from that. Another key reason I think is actually we're providing validity to our clients, to our families of our clients, so that they can see that we are a valid workforce, that the team know what they're doing and they know that their mum, their dad, their family member is going to be supported by people who know how to support somebody with that type of dementia, who know how to support that person with dignity, who know how to support that person with their continence and rebuilding their continence or preventing falls from occurring again. So whatever the topic might be, it's, I think, really important for the families and for the clients to know that actually we've invested in the staff team so that they can feel more confident and confident as well. And of course, we need to do training because actually if we didn't do training, then I'm pretty certain our inspectorates would pick up on it quite fast. So obviously various different training courses building into the different CLOEs set by the CQC, be that actually we've done safeguarding training to help ensure that our clients are safe, or maybe we've done some dignity training, maybe we've put people in that place of a resident whilst we're doing that dignity training, and in order to ensure that we're doing the caring section, whatever it might be. And equally, if your inspectorate, let's say you're in Scotland and you've got your Scottish Care Inspectorate coming out and looking at, of course, care and support, then again some dignity training, or maybe if we're embedding dignity within moving and handling, for example, then it all applies in. Realistically, the main purpose for us to do training is, of course, that inevitable golden thread, making sure that our clients are benefiting at the end of the day. There's no point in doing training just as a tick box exercise. Yeah, the CQC have come out, the SCI have come out, the inspectorate have come out, whoever it is have come out and they've said, right, have you guys done your safeguarding training? Your compliance is looking low, that's rubbish, organise some safeguarding training. And you could go to Joe Blogs and say, Joe, will you come out and do some training in safeguarding and then give us a certificate and then we can put it on our system. Great. But what does that actually mean for our clients? And that's the important thread. So is the training provider going to help ensure that the end user, our clients, are actually benefiting from that training? Okay, and that's where we really want to work with whichever training provider you're looking into to ensure that they are caring about our end user. Okay, the golden thread, seeing it through from training, can we evidence at the end of the day if that has affected our clients? So I'd like you just to take a moment just to think about what informal learning and development opportunities your organisation already is running. Okay, so when I mean informal, I'm saying maybe something that's not a set time, a set place, a set thing we're going to do. Now, I've put down on my list of starters to discuss, maybe induction is fairly informal because we've got a staff member coming in. I know that they need to do this bit of reading this policy and so on and so on, but maybe we're going to buddy them up with someone to walk them through some things. So that could be considered part of our informal. Perhaps actually we're doing some job shadowing as part of that induction, or continued induction, extended induction, some shadowing on the floor. So that's quite an informal opportunity for learning. It's not me sitting there telling the person I'm doing this, I'm doing this, I'm doing this, because obviously the focus when I am being shadowed is still my client. So the other person is maybe not active in that role. That's quite an informal thing, but then they're asking questions when appropriate, and but it's an informal learning process. Maybe we've got coaching and mentoring that happens. Maybe we've got some cascading of information. So we look to send one person on a course to take on some formal learning, and then they come back and they cascade that into our team. Maybe you've got some leads in a particular subject, so a dignity lead, an infection control lead, who then they're going to cascade information down. Perhaps actually you've got more knowledge banks. So in your staff room, maybe you've got some posters up, some information that people can pick up on and just read in a break or pick up from there. Or maybe you've got that available on a virtual system, so maybe on an intranet or on an LMS, like maybe you're using our e-learning platform and you've put some things on the bookshelf there that your learners can access, your staff members can access. I'm going to call them learners quite often, can access and take a read of that policy, that procedure, and do that kind of informal learning in their own time. So have a think about what sort of things you've already got going on, because those are really important into how we then build that into then formal learning opportunities. So with our formal learning opportunities, maybe you've got internal people delivering that formal opportunity. That's great, that's fantastic. Think about how that's being set up. Is that set up to look formal to the learner so that they're aware this is a formal learning experience? I should be at this place at this time. I can expect this. I should bring along things like a pad, something to write with, so that I can take away great information. What internal things have we got going on? And equally, if we're going to have internal training of a particular subject, how do I know that that person is a subject specialist there? How do I know that they are knowledgeable of that subject, A, but also B, able to communicate that knowledge appropriately to the learner in this formal learning setting? And there will be learning providers out there who will be able to support that formal learning internally, delivering a trainer-trainer program, or taking your level 3 award in education and Petals. You know, it used to be Petals, that's the thing I talked about the other month. So how do we know that person is able to communicate that formal learning internally across to them? Of course, then we can have our external providers come in and deliver formal learning opportunities. Now that might be your classroom teaching, so somebody comes in and does a safeguarding session with you, and it's 3 hours long, and at the end of it your learners come out, they seem really keen, they say, yeah, it was great, they've got a certificate, we've got a signed register, it's fantastic. We're going to think about considerations behind that. So maybe it's classroom learning. Maybe it's a work-based learning, so I'm going to be learning formally and then writing a journal, or I'm going to be keeping entries in a diary of things that I've been doing. Perhaps actually I'm on day release from my work placement, from the care setting that I'm working in. I'm going out to a conference for the day and I'm doing formal learning there. or I'm going out to a show where there's going to be lots of different things going on for me to go and look at and interact with and see products and things, ideas maybe that I want to come back to the workplace with. Perhaps that formal learning is me doing e-learning, okay, so online learning, or perhaps a distance learning project, so I've got to go and access some things online. I'm going to communicate with my tutor maybe over email or over a virtual meeting from webinar. Or maybe they're going to come and see me, but then it's going to be the distance time, so we're thinking maybe of our apprenticeship providers, our QCF providers. And maybe I'm attending workshops, or workshops are being run in our setting. So different types of external provision maybe for our formal learning opportunities as opposed to the informal ones that we've previously thought about. And realistically, when we're looking at the formal or our informal, we're still linking it back to how is that going to affect our clients? What is the benefit? What is the purpose of setting up this training right now? We've got some considerations to make when we're looking for an external provider to come and deliver formal training for us. We want to think about what is their knowledge and experience of the social care sector or the healthcare sector or whichever sector we're talking about right now. Are these people who are coming in front of us aware of us? So I remember I went on a health and safety course many years ago, and I was working in a theatre at the time. I was 18, I was helping out at the theatre, and they said, right, we're going to have this health and safety training. And this person came in, and she had never done any health and safety in a theatre ever. So she was giving us examples of health and safety in a school, and a little bit of health and safety on a construction site. But to try and get that to apply to us in the theatre was really difficult, and we had lots of really challenging experiences that we needed to explain, and she wasn't really able to answer the questions in a satisfactory way on the day. So for us, we kind of left the room feeling a bit deflated. And yes, she came back to us, and that was great, but let's make sure before those people are coming in that actually they've got knowledge and experience of that sector, and that's what they're saying, that's their specialism. Let's get in the specialists. Let's think about the quality of delivery. Yeah. So when we're saying, okay, we're going to bring in a training provider, that's great. Let's think about how they're going to deliver that subject and what quality they're going to put in there. It's perfectly within our understanding to ask for, okay, so you're going to come in and deliver. What can I see your training materials? Can I ask about the training content? What things are you going to cover? And how are you going to cover that? Is it going to be death by PowerPoint? Or is there going to be interaction? You know, I've separated out classroom learning from workshops, but realistically, if you've been to some of my sessions, you'll know that the classroom, actually, we're doing lots of different activities together because that's how we're going to have good learning, and we're going to take that away. So what type of delivery are we going to be doing? Let's think about the design and the delivery of that learning. The design of it being really key. And different types of learners. Am I appropriate for different types of learners? Am I thinking about actually the ones who need to get hands-on and get involved in the subject? And actually, you know, we're not directly working with a client right now because we want to cover some generic examples, but can they put themselves in that place of thinking about, oh, okay, so this relates to so-and-so on the first floor, I could use this with so-and-so on the ground floor, whatever it might be. Now, of course, we might be thinking about an accredited course. Okay, now, we've got accredited options. You know that Elfie Training offer accredited options. There are many organisations out there offering accredited options. There are some formal times that, we really need to have an accredited course right now. That's going to be really beneficial. And that means actually they've gone through the understanding to achieve that course, right? So let's take an example of first aid. We know that we need to have first aid trained employees in our workplace if we have more than 5 employees, and we know that I need to make sure that that content is good, get good first aid content. How can I make sure I'm going to get that? I can go to a provider who's going to offer me an accredited course, okay? An Ofqual regulated course is what you're looking for when you're doing first aid. You're looking for an Ofqual regulated first aid course. That's an accredited course, and that means that they've done due diligence with one of the companies out there who have Ofqual accreditation, to say, yeah, they're going to teach you this, they're going to teach you this. It's all of the stuff that we expect them to know. So when they walk into our setting and they say, I have emergency first aid at work, it's accredited, you can go, yeah, I know they've done CPR. I know they've looked at bleeds. Yeah, you can say all of the content that we know has been covered, and that's great. There are times where you might say, well, these guys are offering the unaccredited option of a first aid course, and I think that might be all right. You need to make sure you've checked the content, okay? You need to make sure the content is checked and realistically that the delivery is being checked. To gain accreditation, a company not only needs to say they're going to deliver that information, but then they need to prove that they're delivering it. So actually there has to be quality assurance checks by that company on their trainers to ensure that the delivery is correct, that it's standardised, that we're getting good quality, that I'm not having some random explanation of how to deal with a nosebleed, and that we're dealing with a nosebleed in the correct manner, or with a fracture in the correct manner, or with CPR in the correct manner. So the benefit of going for an accredited option is that extra clout. Yeah, we've made sure that they've got quality assurance going on in that company. They've got observation going on in that company. This is a course that's been checked. Their content has been checked by the awarding body. Yeah, so if we think maybe of our moving and handling train the trainer, which we know is NCFE accredited, NCFE have checked the content, they've agreed the content, they've agreed the processes that we go through for assessment, they agree that that's a good assessment, and that's how we can then ensure that those people are ready to then go and teach moving and handling to their colleagues in the workplace, the other care assistants, healthcare assistants in the workplace, to make sure that they're doing it correctly. So accredited does take quite a lot of weight off our minds, but don't forget it's not just necessarily accredited as a word that we want to look for. Sometimes we might talk about being endorsed. Yeah, so you guys probably are aware that we're endorsed by Skills for Care and for our classroom delivery, and Skills for Care therefore are saying, okay, the structure and the support that the trainers receive, the way that the courses are written and prepared and delivered and observed, all meet with us saying, yeah, we'll give this company our little seal of approval and say, yeah, this company is producing good quality training. And then we want to make sure that we go in a little bit more into that, because that's endorsing the company, not specifically each course. And that's a good thing to say, because actually I don't want the same safeguarding course that the company down the road had, because the company down the road have got a different safeguarding policy. I want you to make sure that you're thinking about the safeguarding policy in my setting. And when I've mentioned that we've had some safeguarding alerts, I want you to take that seriously and make sure that my staff team are walking out confident that they would report, record, and know how to deal with that in the future. So we then want to say, okay, great, it's accredited, it's endorsed, let's look at how that's going to affect us. Okay, how that's going to affect my company. Let's make sure that we are trying to help the training provider provide the best experience as well. So if we come to, or you're coming to us for the first time and you're saying, look, we would like you to deliver some training on falls, then I'm going to want to know your falls procedure. I'm going to want to know your moving and handling procedure. I'm going to want to know your first aid procedure for that fallen person. What are the steps that we take afterwards? Let's make sure that we've got that content together. We work together to make sure that the course is tailored to you. Now, obviously, we need to think about learner support, monitoring of learner progress. Now, these are really important if we're thinking about maybe a slightly longer term course. So maybe we've got a 4-day trainer. Maybe we're actually doing our QCF and expecting to be on program for 3 months with that QCF, or maybe on program for 12 months for that. What support is in place for the learner, and how do we know that they're achieving the steps? Are they falling behind? Are they getting ahead of themselves? Are they being supported appropriately? And thinking about actually the assessment for those learners. Is the assessment appropriate? Is it all of our SMART things? Is it specific, measurable, achievable, realistic? Have I given a time frame to the learner that they can achieve it within? And the assessment, is that robust? So if I'm saying to them, right guys, as part of this course, you'll need to prepare this assignment. It needs to be, I'm looking for a leaflet explaining this, this and this about your company. That would be great. And it should be maybe 1 page of A4. That's the sort of amount of information I'm looking for. And then we're comparing that against set criteria. So what is the assessment process for that course? Is it a big formal assessment? And if so, are my learners prepared for that? Or is it more informal? Is it continuous observation throughout the day? So a moving and handling course, 3-hour, 6-hour course, obviously I expect assessment to include assessment of their practical skills. Have we seen that assessment of that practical skill? It may be that we want to, on a course, have a multiple choice test. It may be that I need to have a bigger assignment. It may be that I want people to contribute to group work and write on flip charts. But not everybody needs to write on flip chart. As long as I'm hearing ideas from different people, then actually I can assess that person as confident in their knowledge and producing the right sort of information for them to pass that course. Another key consideration when we're actually looking at our learning provider, our training provider, is to consider actually the tutor competence. So we obviously take tutor competence really seriously. It's really important to us that our trainers feel supported. They've got our office team they can contact. And we're making sure obviously that the tutors are qualified teachers, that they are knowledgeable in the sector, and that they're competent in that delivery. And we check that tutor competence by doing observation of their teaching practice, by checking their certification, making sure they're maintaining their continuous professional development. And that's not just their continuous professional development of the subject knowledge, but also of how to teach and train. And they're developing themselves as a teacher, as a trainer every day as well. And it's more than viable that you might want to see trainer information. So can you give me a brief synopsis about this trainer? What are their specialisms? Can you assure me that they are a qualified teacher? And of course, we want to know costs when we're looking for a training provider. But it's really important that we balance that cost against all of those other considerations. So am I paying a little bit more to get an accredited course? Because I know that that will achieve and satisfy these criteria that are being looked for by the inspectorate, that are being looked for by somebody coming into our environment. And does that add value to our staff team? Will they feel valued, that they're getting an accredited course, that they can walk out with a certificate, with NCFE or with QualSafe Awards or whichever awarding body it is, and go, yeah, look at this, I've done this really important accredited course. So sometimes the cost, we might opt to go slightly more costly because we know that the company is going to tailor the course to our company policies, that they're going to spend a little bit of extra time going over this with our learners because we know this is an area of concern. Because actually we're thinking about that golden thread, and we're going to come back to how this is impacting our clients on the floor. So then, after the training has happened, we want to know, is it happening in practice? And how do we go out and check that? Perhaps we want to say, could the training provider come in and do an assessment later on and see if that's happening in practice? So we've taught them the moving and handling skills, we've taught them interactions with dementia residents, and is that now happening? What could we do to make that better? Perhaps your staff team feel empowered, your senior team, your management team, to do that themselves. Do they have the competence, or do they need additional training to go and do that, to walk around and to confirm that actually that's the skill that's being taught and that's the skill that's been delivered in the correct way? I can now see how this is impacting. Can we evidence the effects of training? That's the really interesting thing, to say, when the inspectorate comes in and say, great, so you've done safeguarding training, how has that affected it? Well, actually, I can evidence that because, believe it or not, following the training, we had an increase in safeguarding alerts, which is kind of the way it's supposed to go, right? They're now more alert, more hyper aware of things. So we had an increase in some alerts coming to us, our colleagues coming to us and saying, I'm a little bit worried about this, I saw an unexplained bruise here, could you give me a hand here, I've spotted this reddening spots on somebody's skin. It's not going away, and so on and so on. So we had an increase in alerts, and then we were able to put in place some procedures to reduce those concerns and to address those concerns and to say, okay, so the reddening patches, great that you're identifying those. Now do we need to have some pressure ulcer training? And then we get the pressure ulcer training and we can get that down as well. If we've done maybe some training in assisted dining, perhaps then we can go and evidence that some of our clients are now dining, enjoying their dining experience more. Maybe we've got clients who are now putting weight back on, and that's a really positive thing. Or we've really supported somebody with their communication, and that's now improved. How can we really evidence that to the inspectorate and show off about the training that we've done, and that now look at this impact that we've had? Maybe we've sent somebody on the trainer for moving and handling. Maybe they've come back and they've been training the staff team, and the benefit we can then say to the inspector, it's fantastic because it means this person's out on the floor, they're clued in, they can see concerns, they've got great relationship, rapport with the team, they're coming in, they're highlighting these concerns, and we can challenge those straight away. And moreover than that, actually we can then go, and when we've got a new staff member, one staff member coming in on their own, they can immediately get training and then come out and help with the staffing levels on the floor and be new and fresh and getting involved straight away, rather than needing to wait a couple of weeks until actually we've got some more people available to go on training. And then perhaps they felt bad on the floor and they've tried to help when they shouldn't be helping, or they've felt useless. They've said, well, I'm not getting the training, I'm now going to leave because I'm not getting the training, I'm not able to do stuff on the floor. Instead, we're able to tackle that straight on and say, we've got the trainer here, we've organised the training session, and now they're out and really helping. They're doing double ups already to help out with the staffing levels on the floor and really improving and investing in our staff team. So guys, I feel like I've been rabbiting on forever. As you may have gathered, I'm really passionate about this subject. So we were looking at choosing a training provider. I started off by reiterating how vital training is. I then talked a little bit about this golden thread, so evidencing why do we need training, what need are we trying to fill. Let's seek out the best training provider who's going to make sure it's tailored to us, who's bringing it in at the right price. Are they endorsed or accredited for these courses? Are they really going to deliver this in an interactive way that my learners can take away? So all of those things. And then through to, can we then evidence at the end of training, after training, a week after, 3 months after, has that had an effect on the delivery of care? Can our clients see the benefit? Can we identify that? And then can we shout about it and prove it to the inspectorate who come in? Can we say how fantastic it is? Can we use that to bring in additional staff? So when staff come in to interview with us and say, how are you going to invest in me? We can say, well, look, this is what's going to happen. Day 1, you're going to get this training. Day 2, you're going to get this training. 3 months down the line, we're going to put you on this training. Then there are these opportunities coming up because actually we invest in our staff team and we really want to keep our staff here and ensure that they are competent and confident in their job roles, because they are so important to help deliver the best quality care that we can provide. All right, guys, so I'm signing off for now. I hope that was really useful to you, and I will see you at the end of next month, last Friday of the month, 2 o'clock. No idea what the subject's going to be. Please don't ask me yet. I'm off on holiday now. I hope you guys comment on the video. Please do. Any questions, just jot them down there. Any thoughts as well about how you're delivering your informal or formal training, please do get them in. And if in doubt, there's a great app that Skills for Care brought out on recruitment of a training provider. It's called Choosing a Training Provider, and it runs through a little flowchart of things that you should consider when you're choosing your training provider. So that's available on the Skills for Care website. Thanks very much, guys, and I'll see you soon. Bye.